Okay, folks, today we're going to discuss how to reset quizzes for students that don't pass them. Typically speaking, with a quiz, um, our rule of thumb is that they get 2 attempts to pass a quiz with a 60% or higher. If they don't pass the quiz the first time, the student will have the ability to go into the quiz and reset the quiz themselves. And again, that has to be to pass the quiz is a 60% or higher. Occasionally, students will pass a quiz the first time with a 60% or higher and request a reset. You'll have to go in manually and reset those. And today I want to show you how to look at the quiz attempts that students take and then also how to reset the quizzes. So, first thing you'll do is you'll log in. Next thing you'll do is you go to menu up here and select the course. And let's just say, for instance, I get a student who's in Algebra 1A honors, and they email me and say, Mr. Hicks, I was not able to pass this quiz. Hopefully they're very specific about the number. We remind them in orientation to be very specific in their email. And I need a reset. So you go to the class, and you'll see the student. This is going to be a test student, so this is not a real account, but just to give you guys examples here. So again, you'll go in and you can see on the summary page here, there's not much you can do. You can look at a lot of things in the summary page, but to actually reset a quiz, you have to go in to the gradebook units. So you'll click the summary page, unit 1, if it's in that unit, and you'll see the student hopefully emailed you and said, dear so-and-so, I was unable to pass the 1.1.3 quiz. Could you please reset that quiz? So a couple protocols here, typically speaking, and again, we leave this up to the teacher, but this is kind of a program standard, is that the student submit a study guide or something associated with the section. So in this instance, it would be section 1.1, and I'll show you kind of in a minute what that looks like, that demonstrates that they went back through the material. You may want to do a little investigation in regards to this quiz. So what you can do is, typically speaking, look in the gradebook, and first indication is color. Obviously, red is going to indicate a failed quiz. A quiz was failed twice. Occasionally, you will see a red box around a passing score. That means they passed it on a third attempt that you granted them. But at any rate, if you double click the score, what happens is a page pops up, you'll see, and it's nice. You can kind of see when they took these quizzes, what their score was, and another indicator that's great is how long they took. So what I would look, in this instance, again, this is a fake student account, but we wanted to kind of demonstrate this. You can see at September 1st, the quiz was taken at 12:57, and they got a 5 out of, I don't think it was 20 points. I don't know, 5 out of 10, excuse me, that was 50%. And they took less than 1 minute on the quiz. That's very fast. Now, again, how long does it take to take a quiz? Again, that's kind of up in the air depending on the material and how long the quiz is. Again, we like to see things anything that 4 to 10 minutes is a good time, if not longer. Second attempt was right away, 2 minutes later. You can see 12:57, 12:59. So again, they failed this quiz. They didn't take their time to go back through the material. They just tried to force feed it through, and they even got a worse score this time. It looks like a 3 out of 10, 30%. And they didn't take very long as well in this one. And again, this is a fake student account. I'm just giving you kind of information here. But this is a good indicator. Another great thing you can do is actually you can click on this blue part here, and you can look. And what will pop up is you can see the questions that they answered. It takes a minute to load these questions. There we go, they just popped up. But you can kind of scroll down and look through the questions that they got right and wrong. You may see trends, and that may dictate your feedback. If you don't want to have them fill out a study guide, which again is pretty much protocol, or they can also send you notes that they create. In math course, there's study sections, and there's this what we call like checkup practices, which are going to be more like longhand problems that would have work, not more like wording things as far as definitions go, theorems, yada, yada, yada. So again, you can scroll through and kind of see what things they got wrong, okay? And you can do that for each attempt. So You can go to the second attempt and kind of look. And you may see commonalities. You may notice they rush through things. So again, these are just information for you to kind of gauge what you're going to do with the students to see what they did. So I'm going to close out of this window. But again, just so you know, you double click the score and that window will pop up with all that information here. And you can click these things to these blue time bars to see what they did. So more importantly here, to reset the quiz, we'll get to that point. Never touch anything up in this top box, because when you have multiple students in courses, you can see I'm rolling my mouse across. What happens is, the rule of thumb is you shouldn't, in the gradebook, touch these things because it'll affect everyone in the course. You actually want to go to the student row and go over. So to reset a quiz, you can actually click this thing in the middle here. I'm just going to leave my mouse over. It says select to reset activity. You can actually, it's got two arrows, like circle arrows. You can click that, and you need to save. So again, the reason my save button didn't come up is because I double clicked here. So I'm going to refresh this page. I'm going to go back in here to Unit 1. And you'll see up here it says refresh. When I go to click and reset this quiz, it changes this to the save. You always want to save. Now the beautiful part is, if you forget to do it, so let's just say I try to go and get out of here, it's going to ask me this question up here: do you want to, save what you just did? Now again, I would push OK in this instance, but I'm going to push cancel. I'm going to go back. I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to show you guys, folks. Okay, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back into this grade book again, and I'm going to go to quiz. I'm going to go to Unit 1, and again, to reset the quiz, you hit the two arrows and you hit save. Okay. Now, what happens is, when they don't pass this quiz, this thing locks up like that. Okay. But in this instance, they're now going to have access to a third attempt on the quiz. Now, what I caution you, kind of double check that occasionally, because I have had instances where I have reset it with an arrow. So I'll put the score back in. I can generate a score here. You can put scores. Whoops, I put 12 back in there. Put, say, 5 back in there. You're going to see now, what happens is you can actually now put scores in yourself. I just double click the score, and you can see all these like histories of me, them taking the quizzes and me inputting scores. But you can actually input scores in. Another thing you can do too, occasionally, so if they take it a third time and don't pass, you can actually now, you could arrow them on, move them on to the unit. You can kind of dictate. Generally speaking, you don't really want them to take it more than 3 times. Potentially 4, because again, there's only so many answers. Say there's 10 questions. Each question has an A, B, and C response. So a 10-question quiz would technically have 30 answers in the bank. But again, they randomize those things. And I'll show you in another video the course settings. But again, if they get, say, a 50%, 5 out of 10 on the third attempt, you can move them on. In this instance, they're not moved on. The arrow here is what would move them on. And you have to actually make that arrow solid and save it. And that allows them to move on without mastering, not demonstrating mastery of a 60% or higher. That would give them access to section 1.2. I want to briefly show you what study guides you might want to look for a reset. So again, they didn't pass 1.1.3. You would go and click, and again, I'm going to do that one more time. You actually click the quiz. Now again, you don't ever want to click underneath it here, these settings, because it will do it for everybody, but you can actually click these blue parts. And it will open up a study section, or excuse me, it brings you into the course for the student. And then what happens is you have an outline. So you're into the quiz here, and you can actually look at this quiz by hitting the start button. You can go in and preview the quiz up here. But what you really want is this outline in the top left. And you can see here that there's a study section and a checkup. Now, the study section has a study guide right here on the right. I'm rolling my mouse over here. It's an orange icon. You can see study section has 20 pages. But again, if you click the study guide, we ask students to paste and copy this into a Google Doc. Give your email editing rights so that you can look through it. You have access to the answers, the students don't. So up here you can toggle, on the top right here, I'm moving my mouse, you can toggle this and you can kind of look through and you can get answers on things. you could feel free to PDF this and send it to them if you think that's necessary. You can paste and copy these things in that they might miss on their study section. That's one avenue for a quiz reset and to fill in any misunderstandings. Another avenue too, in the top right again, you can go to outline. You can see there's the meat and potatoes of this section is the study section. The checkup, excuse me, the study has all this that we just went. Study has all like the wording of the unit. The checkup is more. You'll see here in the top right here. If you click the checkup, it's going to have worked out problems depending on the material. Once this loads here, yeah. So you could see these are problems, and again, the answer key is up here for you. But you can look like usually they'll show you if there's like steps in a problem, they will show the students how to do each step. But again, feel free to ask them to do this as well to demonstrate that they went back through the material. You can feel free to save this as a PDF and send it to them. Again, that's not going to be worth points, these things. You'll see the only things in the outline here that are worth points actually are labeled in orange worth points. So again, one more time, to get into the course, you would go click the 1.1.3 quiz. And again, that brings you into the quiz. It brings you into the course. And then what you can do is you can click this outline, you can look, and there's two avenues. Again, the study section is a good thing. The practices are good, kind of fill in any misunderstandings or knowledge gaps they might have. You can actually too, if you want, you can look through this quiz. You can just go start, and then you can take the quiz yourself if you want. You can click preview and see then again that there's 1A, there's 1B, 1C. So again, in the next video, I'll talk about how to look at course settings.